Well, I know Victoria for a few years now, and today we are going to talk a bit deeper about her community, about the events that she organizes. Victoria is a founder of HerHub community and also a book club organizer. That's how I learned about everything you do at a book club event. And yeah, let's maybe talk first about your background. What brought you to start events in the first place?
That's a long story, but let's try to make it short. So I in Berlin for 7 years now, and at some point, like most of the people who moved here, you have a question how you actually build real connections here, except for going for the meetups, which are nice but very like surface level networking. And in my business, I used to do a lot of event organizing and all of that kind of work. So it felt quite natural to try to do something in events and communities here. Not to say that it was easy and I wasn't stressed like hell when I was doing my first events, which you were the part of. So it's really cool that we discussing this with you in particular. And I work in tech. I love to do all the startup stuff. And communities are my passion. We have HerHub, we have book clubs. I had like 3 to 5 book clubs at some point at the same time, which I love. My favorite way to build real connections with people, considering that I am on introverted spectrum, let's say. For me, it's one of the most genuine ways to actually connect with people and find like-minded people.
I think it's perfect. I think you touched upon a few different topics that we can discuss. Like one is being introverted, which is super interesting, right? Like no one would ever think that someone who's introverted would start a book club and throw event every week, right? But somehow that's how it works sometimes. Cool. Tell me about the first event that you organized. Do you remember how it was, where it was, and?
Well, I do, and I hope you remember it too, Polina. You were there. So.
I was.
I don't remember when was it, by the way. It was a couple or 3 years ago. And it was quite stressful because it was my first community building attempt in Berlin. And of course, it takes some kind of audacity and delulu to start your community in the beginning. And I remember that I just put together a list. Well, first of all, I was reading a lot during the lockdown, because what else would you do? And at some point I decided that if you read anyways that much, you can as well have something else out of it. And I put together the list of interesting people that I follow on Instagram from Berlin that I kind of liked and enjoyed, and decided just to message all of them saying that, hi, we started a book club and this is the guest list. Actually, I was sneaky and I did not mention that it's this guest list. I just mentioned that this is the people who participating in our community, which really helped everyone. Like,
honestly, it was genius.
Like, oh, what an interesting people here in your book club. That's so cool. I want to be part of it. And that's how we started. I remember the first one. I remember the event. I don't remember the date. I do remember that it was in a wine bar, which was ideal to have all this social juice flowing. And I was quite nervous. It was, again, first attempt on doing something like this, or new people. I was in love with the concept, how we talked for hours, and first of all the girls were amazing. Yeah. I can say that I remember the details because it was so long time ago, and because of the wine and all the nervousness of the first event, I can say that I remember it very well, except for the vibes. The vibes were perfect.
Yeah, that's true. I remember we were discussing green light, I think.
Yeah. It was weird choice for the first book, but it is what it is.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I would never recognize that you're stressed, for example, or that you're nervous about the event. I think that's something that a lot of people think that like everyone would see that you're stressing out, but actually it's really hard to tell from the outside. Like it's just you, right? And it's interesting that you're mentioning it now, that you were actually nervous about it.
Well, who wouldn't be? And especially, I have this nice kind of nervousness, introverted kind of nervousness. When I get quiet, which is hard to see as nervous.
What would you recommend to someone who maybe would like to start an event, or who is maybe organizing an event soon, like me, who is also nervous? Like, what would you recommend or tell them? Maybe some tips or tricks that you tried before the event?
Well, to this point, after all the events that I did, like book clubs for 3 years, every month, I still get nervous every time. Yeah. And it's special kind of nervousness. It's not that I think that I will not be able to do it, but I'm kind of anxious a little bit if everything goes as you planned. But yeah, you just get used to it, and you know that after the event, it all will feel like it was worth it, totally worth it. And that's what keeps you going. But yeah, no, well, maybe some specific playlists always help. Most of the time before the event, I'm just listening to this hype yourself playlist, just not to think about what can go wrong. By the way, never, ever anything went wrong in not one of my events. But still, every time you think maybe the venue will cancel on you in the last minute, but maybe half of the people will not show up. Something like this happened.
Interesting, because I was just about to ask you about that. Have you ever had like any fails or any weird situations at your events where you were like, oh no, this is my worst nightmare or the worst fear coming in reality?
Never, surprisingly. But let's go through the main fears that every person can have when they organize event. It's venue, guests. Well, basically, if you do the paid events, you have everything with the payments also. But with the venue, never anything went wrong. Maybe I'm lucky, but also maybe it's not that common case. If it's louder than we thought, it's fine. If there are no tables inside or outside, there will always help you to figure stuff out. So we were lucky about that. As for guests, I know that many people are kind of worried that maybe some weird people will show up or someone will not. And same. I can't say if you post about yourself, if you show yourself more when you promote in the event, and I promoting them only in my social media, people see you and it attracts people who are the same, who are like you. But also if they see you, they feel more responsible and involved. So they do not cancel on you in the last minute if they know you from your social media. And I can't say that I had any weirdos ever. Lots of weirdos in a good way, you know. I love my weird people, but never some rude people or anything like that. Not failure, but like hiccup was, for example, last year, I remember I had an event when 90% of the group canceled in the day of the event. 90%. It was book club. Yeah, it was book club, and we had only 8 people. So basically 7 of them, I guess, even canceled. And the weather was bad, and it was summer, and summer always like this. And the lesson is always, it's very hard because the first thing you want to do is to project it on yourself and think maybe it's your fault, maybe event is not that interesting, maybe the book club are bad ideas, book clubs in general. But if you push through it and just keep going, do not reflect that on yourself, it will be fine. Like there are some cases when probably it's a sign, but try to do at least several events after any failure to test if it was actually a failure and not just coincidence or something, you know, because next book club after that, I had 100% of people showed up and they were really interested. All those who canceled previous time, they were really sorry and they booked and want to come to the next one really badly. So it showed me that, yeah, it was just a stupid coincidence, nothing to do with me or book clubs or nothing like that.
Yeah, that's a great tip. I love that. What do you usually do when you have just one person? Would you cancel the event, or would you just be like, whatever, it's one person, 2 people, we will still do the event anyway?
I think the smallest group that we had was 5 people, I think. Yeah, never less than that, because I choose the model maybe to protect myself a little. I always have more people on the wait list that I can accommodate. which is, you always have to choose. Either you put more events, but then you will have to sell more, to try spend more time attracting people and get yourself in this vulnerable position when you will not be able to fill all the seats. Or you can choose the strategy when you make less so that more people want to go. Neither is perfect, because in my case, it actually kind of breaks my heart every time that I can't invite all the people who want to come, and they are all amazing and I would love to meet them all. But at the same time, I never have a case when I'm nervous and I'm not sure that we will have event because everybody's canceled and all of that stuff. So I don't have that problem usually. Mm-hmm. I have wait lists. If someone cancels, I usually can put some other person in the group.
Cool. Yeah, that's a great tip as well, to just have like a few people maybe on the wait list, or just calculate your show up rate and then maybe get a bit more registrations then.
Oh yeah, by the way, another like sneaky tip, sneaky thing that I do. We usually have 8 people for book clubs, but I always send 10 invitations. I know, like, once in 2 years, I had the situation when everybody showed up. Otherwise, and it wasn't a problem. We just put 2 additional chairs, and the restaurant was very welcoming. It was fine. But in general, you invite 10 people, 8 will show up. And for any other event, I usually send a little bit more invites than we can actually accommodate. We plan to accommodate. But it always works because people are busy, people have lives, and I never mad or angry with people who cancel because
life happens.
We are so busy. Life happens. You just have to be prepared for that, and it's on you to secure the event, that it will not be something that will, destabilize you and your event. You have to be prepared for that.
Yeah, cool. Thank you for the tips. So what happened next? So you started organizing the book club, which was for free. It was 8 people, right? And we were still all the time. It's still there. We're just not meeting any not that regularly, but hopefully we'll see each other soon. I think the good thing about this book club is that we just all became friends, and we are just hanging out together right now. We sometimes I think we meet and we don't even discuss the book anymore. We're just talking about everything but the book. But tell me about what happened next. You organized this book club, and how did it grow to a HerHub community?
Good question, Paulina. Good question. But first I want to clarify, because many people are still confused with all the book club situation. So I had several clubs that are private. You were the part of my first private one. It means that we had a fixed number of people in the club, like 12 or 10 to 12. And we were not taking newcomers every time. It was like for a year, fixed group meeting every month. So, and besides those 2 private book clubs, I also have Harber's book club, which is open for everyone, and everyone can sign up for every event. What comes next? It's kind of hard to say because it's a book club. It's not something that can get profitable or can grow a lot. Well, we also the case of Reese Witherspoon, right? And her growing this huge book club and making a film studio out of that. But to be realistic, definitely will not be able to go that direction. I had an idea to maybe involve more hosts to have more dinners. Another idea, I really kind of curious to organize a couple of reading retreats or something like that, and to just go somewhere for the weekends with the ladies. And the most audacious, idea is to open a bookstore or something like that at some point. But also, who doesn't had the dream
to open a book club, which is also
book club or coffee shop or book club with a coffee shop and flower shop somewhere, our corner, something like that is possible. And I feel like we really need a space. Part of the Harber's book club identity is that we meet in different nice restaurants every time, but also it can be a little bit overwhelming. Restaurants of Berlin, they always came up with some new rules, never giving me a break with all the new rules that you have to keep up if you have a group. And it would be nice to have a space. Some just, like they show this men clubs of the past, but for women and for reading, it can be something interesting.
Minus 10K per month, that's the problem, but yeah.
Well, we'll try to avoid that, but hopefully we'll do all our money by selling coffee and flowers, of course.
100%. So, okay, cool. That makes sense. So you started a few book clubs, and how long have you been hosting them? Like, who did you invite and how did it look like?
So the Harber's Book Club, again, the private ones, we've been doing them for a couple of years now. First one, as I already told, was the story of the Lulu, when I just approached everyone who I wanted to see in the book club on Instagram. The second one was more business oriented, and I posted an announcement in Berlin Boss Babes, one of my favorite communities. And I had like 60 or something applications just out of that. I put them in a couple of separate groups, even a couple of additional groups that I mentioned that I will not be able to host, but here are people who want to have a book club. Maybe you can organize yourself. And something like a year ago, I started the Harber's book club, which is just Instagram page where I post all the announcements and books once a month. And that's it about book clubs, I guess. I invite people just for Harber's. You can see announcements on my Instagram page every month. Everybody can sign up. Again, we have only 10/8 spots, but wait list is actually working because people cancel and I reach out to the waiting list really often.
Nice. Yeah. Feel free to sign up. I can only recommend your events. I think I'm the biggest fan of all of your events. I think for me, it just all started with getting to know people and getting to know women who inspired me a lot. I think your book club, I can actually say that it started a lot of things in my life right now. It might not look like that because it's not a direct impact, but like when you learn about what other women do and you expand your network, that's something that motivates you to get started with something of your own as well. So yeah, thank you for organizing it. I think it's just a moment for a gratitude moment for me as well to tell you that you did an amazing job with that. Cool. Then maybe we can also talk about, since we were talking about how grateful I am, tell me about the proudest moment that you had, something that made you feel like, well, I did it. It's cool.
Well, I mean, after every event, I feel very fulfilled and extremely satisfied and happy that I'm doing this because every event brings some new people and amazing emotions. Even though me being an introverted person means that after every event, I have to rest for at least like 3 days with no people around. But again, I really, really enjoyed events and feel this huge fulfillment after them. One of the last ones was really cool for me when we had the actual author of the book joining us. It was the book was Sweetness in the Skin by Ishi Robinson. And just in general, to have author on your book discussion is something really special. It is especially special when the book is actually really good and the author herself is just amazing person, because you can have this like some worries about, but what if people would not like a book? Exactly. And we have to discuss it with the author. We didn't have that problem at all. Everybody loved it. It wasn't something that we usually go to, best-selling, trending books, but it was so worth it. It actually ended up to be one of the books that I come back to in my mind a lot this year, one of my favorites. And Ishi, the author, she shared her story, which was like the special treat on itself, very inspiring. She had this dream come true story on publishing her first book. I will not go into details, but yeah, it's really fulfilling to support local authors. And I'm pretty sure that at some point I will look into the screen, maybe some kind of, I don't know, Oprah announcement of the book club, and it will say, "Oh, I know her," like, because it's our superstar Ishi someday.
Nice. That's
Really
amazing.
believe
Is
it.
she a Berlin author or like does she
Yeah.
live? That's so cool. I didn't know about that, but that's amazing. Did
Damn, I
you
should
get
have
to ask her
promoted
like
more.
all the questions about the book, and did she tell you what does the author
Sure.
mean by that?
Yeah.
That's the
Well,
biggest
yeah, a
question
lot.
usually.
Lots of insights. It was really, really interesting. It's a really special experience.
Tell me about how you started HerHub, because after so many years of organizing events, then how did you come up with the idea of starting a community of your own?
Again, I'm not consider HerHub a community. It's kind of a platform for other communities. And it just came up to be from the actual need, or I don't want to say it's a problem because it's really beautiful and amazing problems that we have so many communities, amazing communities for women in Berlin, that I just had trouble to keep up with all of them and to keep up with all the events that they do. So I decided to just create like a separate page and follow all of them so I can see only their announcements and their events because I don't want to miss them. And also it's really straightforward that email newsletters, some kind of subscription with main events from these communities is something that I would really love to have for myself just every Monday. And that's how the idea of HerHub came up. And yeah, we have an email now, and we will soon have a podcast, right? And we are talking to several amazing columnists who hopefully will have some columns with us, and lots and lots of other ideas that I will not talk about right now because we have to first do them, but a lot of interesting stuff to come for sure.
Perfect. Nice. Well, I think everyone who's listening is probably like, this sounds all amazing. Like you're basically living your dream, like organizing all these amazing events and gathering the community. Tell me a bit more about what other things you do, because I know that you have other projects as well. Because of course it's really hard, as you said, to monetize the book clubs, and the HerHub is just getting started, so it's a new project. How do you approach just like a financial side of things? Do you worry about it? Do you just keep going and hope for the best? Like what is your approach? I think that's something that a lot of women are struggling with.
Keep going and hope for the best. It's like a slogan of Berlin women everywhere. I feel like these days. But in general, I'm in a very privileged position right now when I can spend sometimes exploring and experimenting with different community ideas and endeavors, because a couple of years ago exited the company that myself and my husband were doing for 13 years, tech company. So I kind of secured in that regard. The goal to monetize stuff is not the first thing on my mind, but also I already feel that you always have to have something like that on your mind, actually, because at some point you feel like the amount of energy you're spending, even though you feel all this fulfillment, you have to have some energy coming in back. It's hard to get that energy just by talking to people. You will not receive this appreciation every day. It's much easier to receive it in some way from some kind of monetary, flow back to you. It's more straightforward exchange. And I feel like I might be in danger quite near future to begin to feel burned out, and I have to come up, even though I don't need to, I have to, because I don't want to burn out. So what else I do investment. I invest in startups. I do like automations, a lot of stuff, because I'm still really passionate about tech. I had a LinkedIn personal brand accountability group this spring you were part of also. It's something that I will definitely come back to this autumn. LinkedIn feels fresh somehow, and people are less toxic. I don't like this word, but you will not write a bad comment on LinkedIn because you basically write bad comment in your resume. You just do not do that, and you're more conscious about what you're writing. And that's why to produce content on LinkedIn is a little bit more, I don't know, safe and feels good right now.
Nice. Oh, super interesting. Yeah, I've never thought of that, but it makes sense. Yeah, that actually LinkedIn, like there's a lot of hate on LinkedIn as well, that there's like a lot of really weird content going on. But it's true that the comments are never toxic. Like if you open Reels, for example, it's just a nightmare, such a rabbit hole. But for LinkedIn, it's not the case. Cool. Yeah, I think it's interesting. Your story, I guess, shows this rare case of like, what would you do if you didn't have to earn money, right? Like sometimes we ask that ourselves, and you had to actually face that challenge. Like as long as like it, of course it is a privilege, and of course it sounds amazing, but I think it still comes with this challenge of, okay, I have a lot of time on my plate. Like, what do I do with it? And I think your story shows how someone can actually give back even without like receiving anything at first. But I totally agree with you that at some point you need to monetize something like this kind of activities, because it is very, very difficult to do them and to keep running for such a long period of time. I think that's amazing that you have this passion. You clearly do, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to do that. I love that.
It's so weird. If someone would ask me, I wouldn't say that I have the passion to gather people around me. But for some reason, it's this other way around. You walk the talk, you know. Some people talk and not do. I do it other way around. I do but not talk. I'm not sure that I believe that I have this passion, but for some reason, I just can't stop myself. I like the feeling, and I like the fulfillment of doing some kind of event every 2 weeks or so.
Wow, that's so interesting.
Yeah,
That's super interesting. Yeah, like because sometimes we're like, what is my passion, right? Like, and you actually need to just look at what you are doing in real life, like not what you think, or like not what your imaginary self would do, but like what you actually do, and where you wake up and something that energizes you. That's amazing. I love that. What do you think about communities in general? Like, what makes a good community? Because I would imagine a lot of people who would listen to us, they are either part of a community, like would like to join one, or are actually organizing a community as well. So how do you define a good community for your?
Well, it's a hard question because the good communities are very diverse. They can be really different and for different cases. One thing that I think you should have like a common goal. People confuse communities and followership a lot. And community is a difference when you have a lot of followers and you can organize events and stuff. And actual community is when you have common goals and when you're there to make each other grow somehow and not just make events for the sake of it, you know. So there's that. Yeah, you have to have in mind the actual value that you bring, not just let's have fun together, which you also value, but there can be definitely much more. And the other thing I would say, like in my case, only with book clubs, because that's the only thing I can talk about. I really try to make it not about me. I show myself enough on Instagram just to attract people who will relate. So we have, like, let's say, people like-minded. So that's the reason. I would rather much more prefer not to show my face on social media as most of the people these days. But I do it specifically because it's kind of gives you a filter to attract like-minded people. But on the events themselves, it should be not about you, and you are there to kind of moderate a little when discussion go quiet or goes somewhere it shouldn't go, better not go. But yeah, not make it about yourself.
That's your first tip.
Yeah, a lot of influencers. I feel like I've been to some events that showcasing someone, and that's not a community vibe. It's just a following someone vibe.
Yeah, makes sense. What would you say was, maybe like about your communities or maybe about HerHub. What is something that people like or value in this? Like, I'm not sure if I should ask about the HerHub or book clubs actually, but
Let's go with
maybe.
book club because again,
Makes sense.
sorry.
Because HerHub is not really like, you don't consider it a community, right?
Yeah. Again, we do not consider HerHub a community, and we will not go that direction for now, at least, because we want to be partners for all the communities. We don't want to be a competition in any ways. That's why we're just a platform for them. We're there to support them. We actually right now are thinking on all the ways that we actually can bring the audience to the communities. How to highlight them better, how to showcase what they do better. And with the book club, the main value, I feel why I did start the book club, and I love them so much, is that it's a very special way to build relationships and connect with people. Because again, I'm an introverted person. Many people right now are not, even if they are not introverted, it's more like they're more socially awkward right now after all the COVID lockdowns and everything that's happening. And just go to some networking events can feel a little bit icky and like scary. And I'm not sure what I will talk about with people and how should we connect. You have to have came up with all these pointless questions about where are you from and what do you do. But when you go to the book club, you have so much to discuss. You're never nervous on what you will be talking about. There's always some deep topics to connect. And recently I read the book, I know you read it too, about super communicators, how to communicate better. And there was this amazing advice how you should ask deeper questions about emotions and beliefs. And book clubs actually let you do that. You read about deep topics, and it's easier to discuss them and ask questions about deep topics because you kind of have a permission to do that.
I love that. I think it would, like, your speech would definitely inspire a lot of people to join a book club for sure. Yeah.
Well, I love, not to say that other events are not great. They are. I go to the dinner parties, I go to the networking events, mingling, all this chat and mingle. Also really fun, but there are salads, there are desserts. And I think book clubs are more like food for the soul, like good soup,
Yeah, good soup. We love good soup. At La Sofa, we love soup.
Right?
Yeah, soup is the best. Well, cool. Nice. I love that. Tell me, what are 3 books that you would recommend everyone to read?
Oh my God, you don't ask person who love all kinds of books that question.
Let's do maybe something that people would be able to discuss a lot, like you said, because some books, I think they spark more discussion than the others. So maybe some book that you read that sparked the most discussion into your book clubs.
First that comes to mind is Yellowface. It was amazing book, like my favorite, I guess, book for book club discussion. And the trick is that most of the people hated it. Everybody has an opinion about that book. There are some books that nice, but what actually would you have a debate with someone around this book, stand for your opinions and disagree strongly on something? I'm just checking some of my latest book, like we read Tom Lake, and it was decent 4-star read, but not much to discuss. Just everybody agree, it's okay.
It's good.
It's good. But Yellowface, you love it. You love to hate it, and it was really cool.
I agree.
I had my lesson never to go with too long and too, deep reads. Too heavy for the book club, surprisingly. Thought you would think that it's a book club. Of course, ladies love to read their complicated big books. No. Ladies love to discuss interesting thoughts and not spend 2 months reading the book. So I will not recommend Damon Copperhead, for example. Amazing book, but was
so long.
Hard to read. Yeah.
But Project Hail Mary was quite a long book, but I
Yeah.
remember reading it so fast and it was so much fun. I loved it.
That's fantasy for you.
Yeah.
Fantasy and science fiction. Yeah, they are huge usually, but really fun to read, and you read them so fast. But again, everybody agreed on loving the book.
So the best books for book clubs are controversial books, basically, the ones that people either love or hate.
So like modern fiction does a great job to write books for book clubs right now, like normal people, you know.
Oh yeah, that's what I thought.
Also, Saliruni books, they are like that.
I mean, I don't know what people are arguing about. I love it so.
That's exactly why they are arguing, because you either love it a lot or hate it.
I recently found one girl who was actually like me. We just like clicked on every single book that we discussed, or like perfect match for for the book club.
Oh, how boring.
Yeah, no, right? But sometimes it's nice for your soul to know that you're not the only one who loves
No,
this.
for sure. For sure, it's nice to have those people, at least to have recommendations that you will love, not waste time on something that
100%. Cool. How about the Berlin places? What are 3 places that you would recommend people to go to after going to so many places and restaurants?
It's like a sore point. It's my pain right now. I don't know. We were just discussing it with my husband that surprisingly, in most of the cities where we go often, like London, Lisbon, whatever, I have lots of favorite places. But in Berlin recently, I don't know what's happening.
Don't tell me you don't have a favorite place in Berlin. Come on.
I have good places. I love them. But last couple of years, I don't have place that, you know, I just itching and I just really want to go to
like one
eat
place
something.
that you'll...
Yeah, like my favorite. And I really, I don't know. Well, I go for brunches. I really loved Beba here near Potsdamer Platz, but they canceled brunches just last week. That was a surprise. They still have nice food and all of that, but no brunch buffet. So I don't know. And for events, we really love, I will be really bad with pronunciation right now because I never know how you pronounce anything. K Mason, is it?
K Maison? Yeah.
You think maybe, I don't know.
I don't know, actually. I love that place. Yeah, so good.
I really love Jaffa. Recently, we go to Sahoy. I better write it down because
yeah,
we
will leave all the links in the description. So no worries. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, so this is good places. I will be happy to go with for events or just in general.
Well, maybe one place in London that you love so much that everyone should go to.
First thing I go every time is Dish Room.
Okay.
It's Indian food, but London's Indian food is something else. You have nothing even close to that in Berlin, unfortunately.
Nice. I think it's good to have some recommendation, not only for Berlin. So yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. Well, is there anything else you would like to add or recommend to anyone, or maybe just to have the last word for our listeners to motivate them for a good day?
Boy,
what is your wisdom for the day?
I don't know. That's questions that I had to prepare in advance, you know. I feel lots of responsibility right now.
Yeah, we can do something else.
In general, right now, I have this message to everyone that you have to take your communities more seriously. We're going through some kind of friendship recession right now. And people really underestimate how important it is to be part of different communities and to build like actual networks around you for your support, but also just to feel connected, because we lost it a lot during the lockdowns and with all the conflicts right now, with us going into internet more and more, people getting more lonely, and it brings all kinds of issues on top of that, and because of that. So you have to make an effort and go out there. Either you social person or you consider yourself not that social. Again, we have more than 60 communities in Berlin. You can find something for you, either quiet, simple book club or quiet dinners with other women, or I don't know, like running clubs, all kinds of sports clubs, actually, and big networking events when you, even if you're not comfortable, you just can't hide somewhere in the corner, but listen to amazing, inspiring women and see a lot of people and maybe get your confidence for the next time to approach some of those amazing people. But in general, yeah, take your communities more seriously. It's your health and mental health and physical health and lots of stuff.
Amazing. I love this message so much. The number of times that I've heard from founders and just generally people who said that a community or like joining a community that really matched their vibe, changed their life, is overwhelming. Like I've heard that so many times. So I think that's a beautiful message. Thank you so much.
Hope so.
Yeah.
Happy to have this first podcast. It was really exciting.
Yeah,
it's actually my first podcast in general, but
no way,
it's good.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow,
it's good that it feels more like a call because I have lots and lots of calls. But
yeah, exactly. I love that it's more like a conversation that we can, just share some stuff together. Nice.
Thank you for having me, Pauline.
Thank you. Look at this.
How can you do it?